on community and you click on the compare forum and you come to this article, cost benefit comparison, demystifying electric bicycle information. You can find the write-up about this. So there's also a Google spreadsheet that I've put the information in. I've given you some simplifying rules of thumb so you don't have to worry about all the technicalities and you can just concentrate on a scale from 1 to 5. Now this is all based on a theory that won a Nobel Peace Prize, and it's called prospect theory. And basically what we're trying to do is balance costs and benefits. And you can see here in this spreadsheet we have some benefits like ease and economy and enjoyment. I left out 3 important ones because I wanted to keep it simple. But 3 that people are really often interested in are elegance, endurance, and excitement. But we'll leave those out for right now. So basically, the example I'll use is my own personal example. I run 2 miles to the store and I carry 15 to 30 pounds of food back in a fanny pack or a backpack. And what I want to do really is just make it a little easier on myself. I mean, this is like a marine workout. Very few people would be interested in doing this because I take it up a hill, a steep hill. And I want to show you my choices. I have 3 choices. Either I can continue doing what I'm doing, which I really enjoy a lot, so I really don't want to change. The second alternative is to get an electric bicycle, and the third is to buy a gas-powered Honda scooter. Now, a friend of mine has been through the same situation, and he found that the electric bike didn't work so well. And so he spent about $4,000, which was the same amount for either the bike or the Honda scooter. And basically, he wound up selling his electric bicycle and going with the scooter. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to spend $10,000 just to figure out what I actually need. So I'm just trying to figure this out from a very high level standpoint. So basically, the purpose is the first thing you have to identify. And in my case, it's transportation. I want to carry 15 or 30 pounds of food a couple of miles. My second goal is fitness, and my last is recreation. For most people, an electric bicycle is the opposite. Recreation is the #1 thing. Now, there are several costs, and we'll rate each of these costs separately, and then we'll average them together to come up with, the cost, and we'll display it on a graph, as you can see on the right-hand side here, where the relationships can be diagrammed. So cost here in this case is about a 4 out of 5, and you can see the benefits are in blue: ease, economy, and enjoyment. And you can see here's the purpose, it's a 4. So these values all get averaged together. And I'll show you an easy way to come up with the numbers on a scale from 1 to 5, so you don't have to worry about all the technical stuff. The risks, there's several. It could be I make the wrong decision. And that's what I mean by inadequate. The bike may not be powerful enough, which was my friend's situation. That's why he went with the scooter. Bias really gets in your way a lot. And in my case, I enjoy running to the store and having this intense workout. So I really favor the workout, and I'm really biased against the scooter for that reason. Now, my friend is the opposite. He doesn't want to sweat or work that hard, so he's biased towards the easiest thing, which for most people is driving their car. Now, in this case, there are 3 benefits we're going to consider. Ease, which for me, mostly has to do with the hill steepness, and the grocery weight and how fast I can go. Economy has to do with how much it costs for me to make each trip to the store. And that's a combination of the fixed cost of the vehicle and the cost for fuel. So the last thing is an emotional enjoyment. So I like being outdoors. I go through a park, for example, and it changes my mood, and it's more social. I meet friends that walk their dogs in the park, and for me, there's the financial benefit, which is economy, obviously. There's the emotional benefit, which is like social and aesthetics, being in nature. And there are other fitness benefits, which is a health benefit, that's physical. So when I talk about cost benefit, I don't really mean strictly financial. I mean different types of costs and different types of benefits, mostly political, physical, emotional, and financial. And that's the reason why you want to put everything on a scale from 1 to 5, because then you can compare apples to apples. And that's the whole idea of this star plot diagram, which you see on the right-hand side. So what's really most difficult for most people is to know what are the rules of thumb that I need to convert all this technical information to a scale from 1 to 5. And I've listed about 15 things here. For example, like cost, I'm really only interested in spending between $1,000 and $3,000 for an electric bicycle. And for example, people don't know what amp hours are, and it's too abstract. All you have to do is look up amp hours. If it's an 8 amp hour battery, you give it a low rating of 1. If it's 16 amp hours, you give it a high rating of 5. That's all you need to know. You just apply this rule. You don't need to know what an amp hour is. People really start getting lost when you talk about hill steepness, because then you don't talk about watts anymore for the motor power, which is even hard for people to understand. But torque is even worse because it's in a different language. It's science. Newton meters make no sense to people. Americans are used to feet and foot pounds, and it's just weird. And people don't know how to understand hill steepness. You can't visualize hill steepness. It's too subtle. A 20% grade doesn't sound like a big number, but there are very few roads in the United States that are more than a 20% grade. Once you start hitting like a 10 or 15% grade, you see a lot of switchbacks in the road. 20% is as steep as you're going to find, just about anywhere in the United States. You can't visually judge that. My hill happens to be 18% grade, so I know, painfully well how steep it is. I run up that hill. I know the difference between my 12% hill and my 18% hill. That's a big difference. Now, also you have to do the math and trigonometry and physics and all sorts of stuff, and this is way too complicated for most people to deal with. And the problem is, once you get over a 10% hill, the power really becomes an issue. And most batteries are not going to last a long time on a hill that's 10% or more. And you're really talking about like 750 watts to 1,000 watts, depending on how steep it is. Most bikes today are about 350 watts. And, there are some 500 watt motors that you can buy. But for the most part, you'd be underpowered. You wouldn't go very fast. You wouldn't go very far with the battery. And if you put it on a scale from 1 to 5, you can find out where you stand. Now, I put a whole bunch of other things in here. This is a rule of thumb, so they're just general. And this is to simplify the complexity. You might want to change this for your own purposes. I mean, if you're only interested in a 500 watt motor, for example, 500 watts would be your 5, and maybe 250 would be your 1. So you'd have a different scale in here. 750 and 1,000 watts may not be important. So, you can alter this yourself. This is a Google Sheet. It's free. You just copy it and use it however you want. Now, this is the rules of thumb are the reason why people have a hard time. Because you've got to read a long list of bike features, and people don't know how to relate these features to the benefits. So, power, for example, that has to do with ease of use. It's how easy it makes it for you to get up the hill. That's the benefit. All you see on a bicycle specification sheet is the power in watts. And that's a feature, but it doesn't relate to the benefit to you. And people have a hard time with that. Especially when you're talking about 15 or 20 different features that you've got to all put together at once. So let me show you how I did this. Let's just start with walking first. Now here, what this is supposed to do is point at the things that are remarkable. And in my case, what's most remarkable about my walk is that I'm highly biased towards it. So, you know, I'm factoring in bias right here because I'm going to probably overlook cost and other things. Now, what's really important is this blue circle. This is the average of the benefits. In this case, it's a 3. Now, benefits alone don't tell you a whole lot. What really is important is the relationship between the cost and the benefit. And you can see that's a 2.9. So what we really do is we divide the benefit score by the cost. And we come up with a number. That allows us to compare things that have different values. So you can compare different prices. A $5,000 bike is not the same thing as a $1,000 bike. You have to compare apples and apples. And unless you use a ratio of cost to benefit, you can't really compare a $1,000 bike with a $5,000 bike. So this is my base comparison. I'm walking right now. I'd like to make it a little easier on myself. You can see I've given the ease of use a very low rating because I've got to physically carry the stuff. But I enjoy it a lot, and it's really inexpensive. It's as cheap as you can get. So let's take a look at what we got for a bike. Now, for the electric bike, the benefit rating is 4.8. That's about as high as you're going to get. You know, now, unfortunately, the cost went up to about 4. So the cost-to-benefit ratio went down to about a 1.2. That's about half of walking. So you can see the benefits went up a whole lot, but the cost also went up. So now the last example is a scooter. And in this case, you can see that the benefits are 3.4, which is higher than walking. But you can see that the costs have stayed the same. And because of that, the cost-benefit ratio is under 1, which is a lot lower than the bicycle cost-benefit ratio. So, you know, my best choice in this case really is to continue walking. When the prices come down, let's say like between $1,000 and $3,000 for the bike that I need, then I'll definitely buy a bicycle because I'll save a lot of time, I'll save a lot of effort, I'll be able to carry more groceries, and I'll still get a good workout and, you know, still maintain most of the benefits. But right now the price is too high, and it doesn't make sense to buy a scooter. So that's the basic way you take concepts and you break them down using a divide and conquer technique to deal with technical information that's not worth your time to understand. All you need to do is have some way to convert technical information to a scale rating from 1 to 5. And the way you do that is you apply a set of rules. And this could be about anything. This could be about your love life, about getting married, buying a house, insurance, retirement, whatever it is that you want to compare that is not easily done because there's a lot of information and they are not of like numbers. So, you know, read more about this on electricbikereview.com. And what you do is you go to Electric Bike Review, you click on Community, click on Compare. You can click on this article. My name is Mike Leroy. You can find me here. You can go to my profile page. You can see about other postings that I've written. I've written a lot. Almost all of my postings are in the top, are the first one on Google. If you go to Google, for example, and you type in electric bicycle cost benefit, you'll see that all my articles come up on top right here. So this is like the #1 rating from electric bike. This is #1 rating. I have a whole bunch of articles about cost and benefit. You know, they come up higher in Google search results than Wikipedia. So that's it. Basically, go to electricbikereview.com and you can follow the link of all this. And there's a lot of other articles in here that explain variations on the same theme.